Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Following the announcement that the $1.1 million fuel rebate has been paid to the National Council on Public Transportation, NCOPT, Hot 7 TV revisited bus operators to gauge whether they are in celebratory mode. While some drivers say they are satisfied, others are completely indifferent.
On Tuesday, a representative from the National Council on Public Transportation informed Hot 7 that the much-anticipated fuel rebate had been paid to the NCOPT and was already being disbursed to various minibus associations around the island. Our news team caught up with a few drivers to find out what the mood on the ground is now that they will finally be receiving the rebate. Vice President of the 3A Lacwa Minibus Association, Barthélemy Augustin, says drivers are happy to receive the monies.
I think it was long overdue and members are happy. It has finally come through. So they're expecting to get, whatever is due to them as far as this, rebate is concerned.
However, that did not appear to be the sentiments of all minibus associations. Some minibus operators on the 5F route did not appear as happy. PRO of the Cicero Minibus Association, Alexis Alexander, says while it has finally come, some drivers would have preferred the price list adjustment.
Some drivers happy, but I'm not happy about it. Reason I'm not happy about it, I rather 25 cents on every passenger, that better for every driver in St. Lucia, done the rebate. And some drivers are happy. This is money they owe us for years. Some people say, y'all not paying taxes, y'all getting a rebate, y'all should be happy. How drivers not paying taxes? The permit is a tax. And right now, it's mandatory that every driver is supposed to pay NIS. NIS $50, you have to pay every month. The route permit for the 2 years, $700. Which one have more money there right now? Because if you want to pay tax, you pay tax. And they're making it mandatory. Yeah, and NIS is a good thing. But some people can do their own NIS. Some people can do their own NIS. They live in without NIS, and they still live in. So you forced in some drivers to pay NIS, which that will make more money to distribute to foreigners again.
The vice president of the Lacwa Minibus Association indicated that many people in the public domain do not seem to understand what the rebate is and the reason why it was proposed, and explained that he has been hearing whispers that drivers are greedy and are asking for too much.
The general perception on the ground is that we always asking for a rebate, and that is not the truth at all, because I can recall during the reign of the last administration, Dr. Kenny Anthony, a bus fare review was conducted. A committee was put in place to oversee that operation, and it was agreed that the bus drivers, they were entitled for a rebate. But what we did, we took the state of the economy into consideration, and we said that it would not be the best thing to impose a bus fare on the general public at this time. However, the government decided to give us a rebate to cushion, the bus fare increase.
Bus operators across the island will receive approximately $800 each. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzaga.
Local charity Feed the Poor Ministry is the recipient of over 20,000 EC dollars worth of supplies as a result of a donation from the Ministry of Tourism. The CEO of the charity, Gaspar Henry, says when on the receiving end of such grand gestures, it is of utmost importance to exercise transparency. Henry says he leaves no room for error, as not even a single check is assigned to be cashed or deposited directly to his name or the charity itself.
Chief Executive Officer for the Feed the Poor Ministry, Gaspar Henry, is appealing to charitable organizations to be transparent with their operations, particularly when they are recipients of donations of cash and goods from the government and corporate stakeholders. Henry says in his own charity, he makes an asserted effort to ensure that the flow of every cent and grain of rice received shows a clear path from donation to the mouth of the less fortunate. Speaking against the backdrop of a recent donation, where the Feed the Poor ministry received over 20,000 EC dollars from the Ministry of Tourism, he says he is confident that the work of the charity will reflect the resources which were donated to the cause.
Today I receive some checks totaling $25,542.81. Every single cent that I receive will be going towards the business organizations. As you can see, Salazar Maison, Rekai Wholesale, ShopRite and Wholesale, SNS, Massy Stores, etc., Viking Traders, St. Marketing Board. So I'm here to make the people know that not 1 cent is written in the name of Gasper Henry. So today I am being accountable and I'm being transparent towards the support that have been given to me by the Ministry of Tourism.
The donation will go directly towards the acquisition of food and dining ware from various business places to which the checks have been assigned directly, as requested by the charity. Henry says he is thankful that stakeholders continue to see the need to support the Feed the Poor ministry during these tough economic times brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic.
So I want to thank the Ministry of Tourism for the support, and I want the people to know that every check is written in the name of the business place. And I want to thank the media for being there for me to highlight the accountability and the transparency. So today is time for accountability and transparency. Thank you very much.
When is feeding day?
Well, feeding day, I served meals a while ago, but feeding day is mostly on a Friday. If you want to come and do a serving with me, that's no problem. I'll lazy fuel and we can do a feeding.
With this recent donation, Henry hopes to expand the operations of the Feed the Poor ministry with increased meal presentation days and decentralized activities. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Psychiatrist Dr. Julius Gillard says that life behind bars, particularly without effective mental health support, could be one of the leading contributors to mental health issues. Dr. Gillard says whether an individual is on remand or serving a life sentence, the conditions of institutionalization have deep-rooted effects which can last a lifetime.
According to the World Health Organization, globally, mental health issues are far more likely to develop amongst inmates than in members of any other groups within the wider society. Local psychiatrist Dr. Julius Gilliard says this is due to the process of institutionalization, which takes place as prisoners are supposedly prepared for reintegration into society. He says, unfortunately, the loss of apathy and independence, as well as key social skills, often does not allow for an easy reintegration, with many prisoners becoming repeat offenders and returning to prison life.
What happens in prison? First of all, social isolation. So most of those persons who would have committed a crime would have gone through some kinds of stressors early on in life, parental isolation, parental abuse, other kinds of abuse, may have grown up in situations where they felt isolated, so then they turn to gangs for that form of social support and so on. And then you send them to prison and then you socially isolate them. So most of those persons don't see their loved ones on a regular basis when they go to prison. And that only increases the sense of isolation, the sense of it affects their mental health basically.
Dr. Gilliard says what is most worrying is the lack of proper mental health support at prisons such as the Bordelais Correctional Facility.
The emotional impact of prison is underestimated. And persons feel like putting somebody in prison will more or less punish them for whatever crime that they commit. Yes, it's punishment, but then what happens with that punishment is that the person's liberties are robbed. They're robbed of their liberties, so they're not having any kind of liberties in there. In St. Lucia, we have no counselor at the prison, so then person's mental health is not taken care of. You have psychiatrists visiting and so on, but then the prisoners, they're under a lot of stress continuously. Their mental health is being compromised and they're not being treated adequately for it. And
He noted that factors such as overcrowding, lack of privacy, and lack of meaningful activity creates a volatile environment where prisoners commit acts of violence against other inmates in an effort to create some form of self-identity amongst the masses.
You have to note that there's also an increased risk for violence whilst in prison, because a lot of what happens in prison is persons try to show that they try to be in charge, or try to be some form of power, and in trying to get to some form of power, they're going to exhibit some form of violence. Now, a lot of the prisoners would end up traumatized from experiencing that, and I don't know of any research in St. Lucia, but I know of research elsewhere where there's a high rate of post-traumatic stress disorder in prisoners. You have a high rate of other mental illnesses, depression, anxiety, and that is because of the high stress that you would find in prisons.
As of September 2020, 19 inmates are currently serving life sentences at the Borderley Correctional Facility, all of which are male. However, this is only a fraction of the prison's population, which currently stands at 550. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Well, white chocolate may not have paved the way for black people and dancing. However, the government of St. Lucia says it certainly is paving the way with its road rehabilitation program. Hot 7 TV sat down with a communications officer in the Department of Infrastructure, Shannon LeBon, who touted the completion rate of many road projects amid criticism that these works are simply election maneuverings.
The government of St. Lucia is continuing on its track to rehabilitate all roads in St. Lucia. The communications officer of the Department of Infrastructure, Shannon LeBon, explained that many roads being rehabilitated right now are completed or near completion. Given the number of roads that are under construction at the same time, many questions have been raised in the public domain. And given the economic situation that the country is facing right now, many want to know, where is the money being used to construct these roads being sourced from?
The Road Improvement and Maintenance Program, it is a Taiwanese-funded initiative. They have provided the government of St. Lucia a loan of 52 million US dollars, approximately 118 million EC for that road project. So that is where that project has been financed. The Northern Roads, 40 million design, finance, construct by CIE Construction, and the National Roads package, another 50 million US design, finance, construct by a private sector entity. We will unveil those details on Monday, God willing.
LeBon says all projects being undertaken right now are well within budget, some even having savings left over. He indicated that in the coming week, the Office of the Prime Minister, in collaboration with the Minister for Infrastructure, will be unveiling a new project that will incorporate roads from 16 of the 17 constituencies on island.
On Monday of next week, we will officially unveil, in collaboration with the Office of the Prime Minister, what is the National Roads Rehabilitation Project, another intervention being funded by the $1.50 fuel tax, which was instituted specifically for the reconstruction and maintenance of the road infrastructure. That project touches 16 of our 17 electoral districts across the island. The only district which does not benefit from this is the Grosley district, which has its separate roads package that we just spoke of. So we will unveil that in collaboration with the Prime Minister's office on Monday, but just to provide a teaser, it touches every single nook and cranny of the island, from Dennery North, Dennery South, Soufrière, Castries East, Babono. I know in Castries South, they would have had some bad roads for a while. The Marigot Road comes to mind. And it will be one of those being improved under the National Roads Rehabilitation Project.
Why is so much focus being placed on roads all over the place? Is this simply electioneering? Many say the works are a sure sign that an election is near. LeBon says the ministry is simply doing what it has to do.
The officers who operate within the corridors here and who man the various projects are public officers with stellar records, and they are very consummate and reputable professionals, so they always operate in the public interest. There is no politics attached to work program of the ministry and the work being done by the staff associated to the Ministry of Infrastructure. However, I know there would be some detractors who would link the ongoing road works to electioneering. I would refer those individuals to our 2017-2018 Projects Digest, a document prepared by the Department of Infrastructure, and it lists our performance over the last period, the 2017-2018 period in particular, and it's a track record of performance. So what we do now is what we know and what we have been doing, which is work, work, work.
He assures that the department is working assiduously to deliver on their mandate, which is to provide a superior road and transportation network. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzaga.
Thank you, Genevieve. You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more after the break.